Buildings in England often have a better chance of being haunted due to the fact that their land has been home to much bloodshed and brutal wars. Kings and queens can often end their marriage with a chopping block, and the souls of those left in their dungeons will still lurk through many castles we're about to mention. From a forest nicknamed the Screaming Woods, to a castle that an author believes to be the most haunted building in the world. Here are haunted places in England.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm your host, American Eye, keeping an eye on everything you want to know. Before we get started today, we'd like it if you guys hit that like button, leave us a comment, and also subscribe for new videos every day.
But first, in our Haunted Places in California video, we asked you guys if you would move into a mansion that was rumored to be haunted for a low price. Jake Dog left us this answer. Probably best not to mess around with that kind of stuff, Jake. Stay tuned for today's question, and maybe we'll feature you in an upcoming video. Number 12. The Arundel Castle UK. This castle, found in West Sussex, England, was originally built in the 11th century. It's believed to be haunted by numerous ghosts associated with the first Earl of Arundel. He brought an end to complete anarchy that was going on in England at that time. The Earl's apparitions seem quite random and are frequently sighted. The restoration of this building was completed and it still looks pretty creepy. The overall appearance of this place just seems a little bit eerie, and there have been even sightings of a mysterious blue fog that randomly appears. Number 11. Pendle Hill. England isn't well known for their geological features like hills or mountains, so if there is one, it's likely to be haunted. It was once a burial site during the Bronze Age and has a long history of being considered haunted. In 1612, it was the site of the Peddle Witch Trials, where 12 people were accused of being witches and sentenced to hang. There always seems to be some kind of eerie fog whenever the residents of the nearby town take a look at it. It was also the site where the founder of the Quakers, George Fox, had his first vision, which led to the Quaker movement. Many of these people would have eventually settled in the US to seek refuge. The hill continues to be associated with witchcraft, and many people will hike to the summit of the hill each year on Halloween. Are there still souls that haunt this hill? Despite all the years that have gone by, no one has felt the urge to build a house up there. Number 10. The Croydon Airport UK. This historical airport has seen legendary pilots such as Charles Lindbergh during a transatlantic flight in 1927. It was even home to pilot lessons by Winston Churchill. It was originally built during World War I after a Zeppelin bombing raid on London took place, and is the first major international airport constructed by the UK. It was rapidly constructed, complete with factories to build planes and munitions. As of right now, however, it's basically a giant museum. Although much of the runway has been built over, the main terminal has been preserved and is known as the Airport House. The Croydon Airport was a target during World War II, and in 1940, it was the site of a major air raid in the London area. The main armory was destroyed during the Battle of Britain, and the civilian airport took a hit. Those who lost their lives that day still continue to roam around. It was quite difficult to defend the attack, and it wasn't much until 1944. With suburban areas beginning to expand, in 1952, it was decided that the airport would close, and in 1959, it saw its last flight. As you walk around the area, you can still see quite clearly that parts of it still stand as a memorial to those who fought in order to keep Britain free. Number 9. The Screaming Woods. A forest doesn't usually get the nickname of the Screaming Woods for nothing. People who reported coming to the Daring Woods in the UK often report hearing screams late at night from who knows what. The area contains woodlands, bogs, ponds, and possibly even ghosts. In the early 1700s, a notorious criminal, Dick Turpin, would kidnap dozens of victims and take them there. That's where his victims would ultimately meet their final end. When people finally found him, he was pinned to one of the trees with a sword. The shape of the trees will also likely send chills down your spine, and it's often quite foggy here, which can sometimes turn pitch black. While driving through this forest, people's cars also tend to mysteriously stop working. Seems like a bad place for a flat tire. Number 8. The Ancient Ram Inn. It's never really a good idea to build your hotel over an ancient pagan burial ground. This building is believed to be one of the most haunted houses in the world. Built in 1145 in Gloucestershire, this house has become home to some unspeakable acts of sacrifice and the worship of the unholy beast. Anyone with the courage to stay the night here will have to share a room with the spirits that call this place home. We all know what the ram represents, and there seems to be some kind of dark presence here. If the history doesn't creep you out enough, wait till you actually stay here. Guests have left this room screaming bloody murder after they reported being dragged by unexplained forces. The owner even found the skeletal remains of children under the basement. Number 7. The British Royal Burial Ground. This cemetery, located on the Frogmore Estate in Windsor, England, is home to mostly members of the Royal British family. The The vast estate, located just west of London, comprises of 33 acres of private gardens, as well as the Royal Mausoleum. Within the Royal Mausoleum lies Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. The mausoleum takes somewhat of a Greek and Roman influence, and the artwork inside was inspired by famous Renaissance painter Raphael. The burial ground holds a list of former royalties of England, including dukes, princesses, duchesses, and princes. Number 6. The Hellfire Caves. Benjamin Franklin was certainly one of the brightest minds of all time and helped shape our revolution. But do we really know what this guy in the $100 bill was truly up to? When visiting Freemason taverns in Ireland, it's believed that he began attending meetings as a non-member of another secret society known as the Hellfire Club. He even had a close friendship with a man named Lord Le Despencer, the founder of this group. There has been much debate on what this club was actually about, but many accounts tell tales of committing unspeakable acts, sins, and violence. Since this club held some of Europe's most notable figures, it's believed that he joined as a spy to gather data on the British, and all records of him joining were likely burnt. In any case, the caves are rumored to be haunted by a ghost named Suki, who was a young maid and was accidentally fatally harmed during a practical joke. Number 5. Chute Barton. Also known as the Old Chute House, it was constructed as a medieval manor home, but upgraded with additions by the Tudor family. It's considered to be one of the most important non-fortified homes of the Middle Ages that managed to survive the test of time. Part of the original 14th century house still remains, but has been altered throughout history. It was originally built in 1380 by Sir William Bonville, who was a sheriff of Somerset, Dorset, and Devon. Unfortunately, his demise would not turn out so peaceful, and his home would be looted while him and his family members were brought to the chopping blocks. It still maintains its Gothic and rustic appearance, which will give many visitors the idea that it could certainly be haunted. Number 4. The Monsell Sea Forts. The Monsell Sea Forts were built in 1942 and consist of 7 sea towers. The strategic location needed to be fortified in order to protect London from being bombarded and possibly to keep the German warboats from cruising down the Thames River. These were decommissioned in late 1950s, leaving them abandoned, rusting, and possibly haunted. This was certainly quite a unique idea at the time, and much materials were needed to complete this difficult project. Some of the structures reached over 60 feet or 18 meters below the surface. Each tower was equipped with 3.75-inch anti-aircraft guns and 2 40mm Bofors anti-aircraft guns. It's debatable how effective they were, since they only destroyed 1 German E-boat, but it could have certainly made it more difficult for the Germans to plan a raid on London. Today, they sit outside the entrance of the Thames River, completely abandoned. Number 3. Bury Pomeroy. What used to be a magnificent castle at one point in time became a ruined, eroded, historical manor in the southwestern part of England. It was built sometime possibly as far back as the year of 1068 as the home of a feudal baron who owned the land. The family who owned it came from Normandy originally and called the town La Pomeroy. The castle is said to be haunted by several spirits, especially a young beautiful woman who's rumored to be the Lady of Margaret Pomeroy. The story goes that this less attractive sister had ordered to spend the rest of her days locked away in the dungeon with no food. It's also the final resting place of Lord Edward Seymour, who was the Duke of Somerset, which also seems a tad bit creepy. Number 2. St. Briaville's Castle. This castle is well known for the imposing gatehouse that we see here. The castle is built from local sandstone and limestone and surrounded by a moat which is fed by a spring. You can tell that some of the red sandstone has eroded from too much rain exposure, which helps add to its creepiness. Similar to our last castle, this dates back to the Norman occupation, which happened after the Battle of Hastings. It was constructed sometime between 1075 and 1129, but the precise date is unknown. The castle was located in a strategic location, which made it good for hunting, storing iron, and lumber. It's also home to what's known as an oubliette. This is like a dungeon where you totally forget about the inhabitants. They'd only get to eat what was left over or the occasional rat that walked inside. There's also the hanging room, which is certainly said to be haunted. The gatehouse and building inside became a youth hostel. Some reports of people trying to stay the night here have resulted in them screaming for mercy as they flee in terror. If you don't take our word for it, you can check out the book called The Most Haunted Building in the World, St. Briaville's Castle, which gives you some more strange details. And before we get to our number 1, can you tell us what chilling discovery happened inside King John's bedroom in St. Briaville's Castle? We'll feature you in an upcoming video. And number 1, Chillingham Castle. It might not be such a good idea to be chilling inside the Chillingham Castle when the ghosts decide to come out and play. This castle to the north is found in the land of Northumberland, which was built sometime in the 15th century. While many castles or buildings in the UK would proudly claim that they have the most haunted building, there seems to be some documents of ghost sightings that date back to the year of 1925 here. Guests have reported seeing a blue flashing above their beds after a loud screeching noise is made. It's noted that some of the haunting incidents had ceased after they discovered the skeletons of a young man and a boy inside a 10-meter thick wall. Some claim that they hear the voice of Lady McBurkley, who was abandoned by her husband and left for her sister. You can certainly take the Chillingham ghost tour if you dare.
So what'd you guys think of that video? Be sure to hit that like button and let us know your thoughts in the comments section. We'll see you next time.